Imagine your family urging you to take sleeping pills to relax, only to find rat poison in the trash days later, hinting at a sinister plot. I'm Dorothy, and when I refused those pills, I uncovered a chilling web of infidelity and betrayal that shattered my family. My son and wife, manipulated by a lover's schemes, pushed me to fight for my life. Join me as I unravel a story of deceit, revenge, and the strength to protect what's mine. This tale of family treachery in a quiet town will grip you, and you won't believe what unfolds next. I'm 64, a retired accountant living in a small town in Nebraska. My home is a charming farmhouse with a wide porch, a cozy kitchen, and a dining room that's hosted decades of family gatherings. This is where I've poured love into homemade meals, filling the air with the scent of pot roast and warmth. My son, William, 40, is a dedicated bank manager with a kind smile that's grown tense lately. My wife, Marilyn, 62, is a vibrant event planner whose energy feels forced these days. Together, we've been a family, bound by shared dinners in this peaceful autumnal corner of the world. William and Marilyn are my world, and we gather often, especially for my Sunday suppers where stories flow freely. My best friend, Eleanor, 60, a retired writer with a sharp mind, is a regular at my table, her insights keeping me grounded. Then there's Charles, 45, a businessman Marilyn works with, who's recently joined our dinners at her insistence, his polished charm feeling out of place. I've always been the one holding us together, smoothing tensions, but this fall of 2023, the warmth of our gatherings began to feel hollow. It started with Marilyn and William's behavior. They'd grown oddly insistent, pressing me to take sleeping pills to ease what they called my stress. I'd never needed them, sleeping fine without aid. But their urgency raised my suspicions. Marilyn would hover as I held the pills, her smile tight, while William avoided my gaze. Eleanor was the first to voice concern, whispering over tea at her writing studio that something felt wrong. I brushed it off, not wanting to suspect my family of anything sinister. But doubts grew when I found a packet of rat poison in the kitchen trash, its chemical scent eerily familiar to the pill's faint odor. I decided to skip the pills, a precaution born from years of balancing books and spotting discrepancies. I sent a sample of the pills to a lab through a contact Eleanor knew, and while waiting for results, I rummaged through the trash again, confirming the rat poison packet wasn't a mistake. The lab's report was a bombshell. The pills were laced with rat poison, deadly in small doses over time. My heart sank. Marilyn and William, the only ones with access to the pills, were involved. Why would my family, whom I'd loved and trusted, do this? I needed answers. And the truth was darker than I'd feared. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from stress, but from dread. The poisoned pills, their odd insistence, and the rat poison swirled in my mind. I checked Marilyn's phone while she was out, my hands trembling with guilt. What I found broke my heart. Flirty texts between Marilyn and Charles, filled with intimate plans and cryptic references to securing the future. Marilyn was cheating, and there were hints of a plan involving me. I thought of the pills, William's nervous glances, and Marilyn's watchful eyes. Were they manipulated by Charles, trying to poison me to hide her affair? The idea was agonizing, but the evidence was undeniable. I sat in my dark kitchen, the house silent except for the tick of the clock. Memories of William as a boy, helping me bake, and Marilyn planning our anniversary clashed with their secrecy, tearing at my soul. How could I confront them, knowing it might destroy our family? My home, my sanctuary, felt like a trap. My son and wife, the heart of my life, were slipping away. Why would they betray me? Was it just to protect Marilyn's affair? Or was there more? Something tied to our home, our savings. I didn't have all the answers, but I knew I couldn't stay silent. A dangerous truth was unfolding, and I had to face it. I began forming a plan, leaning on Eleanor's keen instincts and my own resolve as a mother and wife. The poisoned pills, the texts, and the lab report were just the start. I needed proof, not just for me, but to save William from Marilyn's influence. My dining room, where I'd nurtured my family, had become a battlefield, and I was ready to fight for what was right, no matter the cost. This wasn't just about surviving a deadly plot. It was about saving the family I'd built from the lies threatening to tear it apart. I'd faced tough audits as an accountant, and I wasn't about to back down now. The truth was out there, waiting to be uncovered, and I was determined to find it, to hold my family accountable, and to protect the love we'd shared for so long. Thanks for joining me this far. Let us know where you're watching from today, and if you're new here, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to join our growing community. This story's just getting started, and you won't want to miss what's next. Stick around, because it's about to get intense. The lab report confirming rat poison in those sleeping pills was a chilling wake-up call, a silent threat from my own family. Those flirty texts between Marilyn and Charles, hinting at securing the future, weren't just proof of an affair. They suggested a plot to poison me. With William's complicity, I couldn't let this betrayal destroy our family or my son's soul. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dorothy Reynolds, and if you're following my story from Nebraska, you know I'm unraveling a deception that began with tainted pills in 2023. Thanks for being here, because this is where I start fighting back, and it's a tough journey. I've always been the trusting type, the one who saw family as a sanctuary. William was my pride, and Marilyn, my wife of 30 years, was my partner in every sense. But the poisoned pills, their odd insistence, and that rat poison in the trash shattered that trust, forcing me to face an unthinkable reality. I needed someone to confide in, someone who'd cut through my fears with clarity. That's when I turned to Eleanor, my best friend of decades. Eleanor, 60, is a retired writer with a razor-sharp mind and a long-standing suspicion of Marilyn's recent charm. She was the ally I needed to navigate this nightmare. I met Eleanor at her writing studio, a cozy space filled with books and the scent of ink. Over tea, I poured out everything: the lab report, the rat poison in the trash, Marilyn's texts with Charles, their pressure to take the pills. My voice shook as I showed her screenshots, each word a betrayal of William's love for his mother. Eleanor listened, her eyes narrowing, and when I finished, she set down her cup. "Dottie, this isn't just an affair," she said. "Your family's caught in something deadly, and you need to find out what Charles is planning." Her words were a jolt, turning my dread into resolve. I wasn't just a mother or wife, I was a fighter, and I had to act. Eleanor didn't let me wallow. "You're an accountant, Dottie. You spot fraud. So spot this," she said. She was right. If Marilyn and William were hiding something, I'd uncover it, no matter how painful. I started small, keeping the lab report and a sample of the pills in a locked box for safety. They were evidence, and I wasn't letting them go. I also checked Marilyn's phone again during a family dinner, when she left it on the counter, my heart pounding with guilt. The texts with Charles were bolder, mentioning meetings at a cafe called the Harvest Moon, a trendy spot downtown. I noted the time and place, feeling like a detective in my own home. The next afternoon, Eleanor and I drove to the Harvest Moon, parking across the street in her old hatchback. The cafe was quaint, with exposed brick walls and the hum of conversation. We slipped inside, taking a table in the corner, my nerves frayed, around noon. Marilyn walked in, her event planner's poise intact. Charles followed, his businessman's swagger evident as he joined her at a table. They sat close, their hands brushing, their laughter intimate. My chest tightened, the air sucked out of me. Eleanor squeezed my hand. "You okay?" she whispered. I nodded, but I wasn't. This was real, and it cut deep. I wanted to confront them, to scream, to demand answers, but Eleanor kept me grounded. You need proof, Dottie, not a fight, she said. She was right. A public scene would let Marilyn spin lies, and I needed something concrete. I pulled out my phone, hands trembling, and snapped a photo. Their faces clear in the cafe's soft light. It was a small victory, but it was something, a piece of the puzzle. Driving home, I was silent, the image seared into my mind. What's next? Eleanor asked. I keep going, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I wasn't just seeking answers. I was fighting for William's future and our family's survival. Back home, I couldn't look at Marilyn without seeing her with Charles, their laughter mocking me. She acted normal, planning events during dinners, but every gesture felt like a lie. I started noticing things. I'd overlooked a receipt in her purse for a bar I'd never visited, a faint cologne on her jacket that wasn't hers. Each clue was a wound. But I pressed on. I checked the kitchen, finding another packet of rat poison hidden behind cleaning supplies, as if they were planning another attempt. My fear grew, but so did my determination. The tainted pills weren't a one-off, they were part of a plan, and I needed to know its scope. Eleanor suggested sending the poison packet for testing, but I wasn't ready to involve more people yet. I hid it in my locked box, along with the photo, screenshots, and lab report. I also watched William and Marilyn closely, noting their growing carelessness. William would avoid my questions, snap when I mentioned the pills, while Marilyn's insistence grew bolder, as if they thought I was clueless. The thought of my family betraying me tore at my heart, but I couldn't stop. I had to protect myself and uncover why they turned against me, whether it was Charles's influence or something deeper. The truth was out there, and I was determined to find it. Thank you for sticking with me. Everyone. What do you think Dorothy should do next? Drop a comment below if you're new. Please like and subscribe to join our community. We're diving deeper soon, and it's going to get intense. The photo of Marilyn and Charles at the harvest moon was a wound that refused to close. Their intimate laughter a constant echo in my mind. That packet of rat poison in our trash, the tainted sleeping pills, and William's complicity confirmed a threat I never imagined for my own family. I couldn't let Marilyn's betrayal destroy my son or the life we'd built. Welcome back. Everyone, I'm Dorothy Reynolds, and if you're following my story from Nebraska, you know I'm battling a deception that began with poisoned pills in 2023. Thanks for being here, because this part gets heavier, and I need you with me. I couldn't shield William from the truth any longer. The weight of his actions, likely driven by Marilyn, was suffocating, and he deserved a chance to explain, even if it broke us both. I invited him to my house for coffee, my hands trembling as I set out his favorite mug, one we'd picked out on a family trip years ago. When he arrived, his smile was forced, his eyes avoiding mine. How do you tell your son he's betrayed you? But I had to try. William, we need to talk about the sleeping pills, I said, my voice unsteady. They're laced with rat poison, and I think you helped Marilyn do it. William's face paled, his eyes wide with disbelief. Mom, that's insane, he said. I'd never hurt you. He shook his head, as if he could erase my words. I showed him the lab report, the cafe photo of Marilyn and Charles, the text screenshots, and told him about the rat poison in the trash. His expression shifted to anger, but it was aimed at me. You're crazy. Marilyn loves us. You're trying to tear us apart. His voice cracked, and he stormed out, leaving me alone in my kitchen. The silence piercing. Had I lost his trust forever? William's denial cut deep, but it ignited my resolve. If he needed proof, I'd find it, for his sake and mine. I began treating my home like a ledger to balance, searching for answers with an accountant's precision. One evening, while Marilyn and William were out, I checked Marilyn's office, where she kept a locked filing cabinet, using a spare key I'd found. I opened it and discovered bank statements that froze my blood transfers from our joint savings account to an unfamiliar account. Small sums at first, then larger ones, totaling over $40,000. My hands shook as I photographed each page, each transaction a betrayal of our shared life. I called Eleanor, my voice trembling as I shared the discovery. "Dottie, this isn't just an affair," she said. "Marilyn's stealing from you, probably with Charles, and William's caught in it." Her words sent a chill through me. I searched the cabinet again, finding a life insurance policy I'd never authorized, taken out in my name, with a payout of $600,000, Marilyn and Charles as beneficiaries. My heart raced as I realized the poisoned pills weren't a mistake. They were part of a scheme to eliminate me for profit. Marilyn's affair with Charles was just the surface. They wanted our home, our savings, everything I'd worked for. That revelation shattered something in me, but it also forged a fierce strength. I wasn't just a mother and wife facing betrayal. I was a woman fighting for her son's soul. I started keeping a detailed journal, cataloging every piece of evidence: the cafe photo, the text screenshots, the bank statements, the insurance policy, the lab report, the rat poison packet. I hid it in a locked box in my pantry, a fortress against their deception. I watched William and Marilyn closely, noting their growing carelessness. William's excuses grew flimsier, Marilyn's insistence on the pills bolder, as if they thought I was clueless. Their audacity fueled my anger, pushing me to act. I sent the rat poison packet to the lab for further analysis, confirming it matched the toxin in the pills. The report was a powerful tool, undeniable proof of their intent. Eleanor urged me to confront William again, but I knew he wasn't ready. I needed more. Something so clear it would force him to see Marilyn's manipulation without breaking his spirit. I installed a hidden camera in the kitchen, where the pills were kept, hoping to catch Marilyn or William tampering again. Their frequent visits provided opportunities, and I was determined to be ready. William's rejection lingered, but I understood his loyalty to Marilyn. I'd raised him to love his family, and he wasn't ready to see her as a villain. I sent him a text, apologizing for our fight and promising I'd only come to him with solid proof. I hoped he'd come around before it was too late. For now, I focused on my next moves. I wasn't just gathering evidence, I was building a case to safeguard William and expose Marilyn and Charles for their actions. The family I'd built had become a battleground, and I was prepared to fight for it with every ounce of strength I had. Thank you for staying with this story. What do you think about William's reaction? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. We've got more to uncover, and it's going to be intense. The lab's confirmation of rat poison in those sleeping pills was a cold wake-up call, transforming my home into a battlefield. Marilyn's affair with Charles, the stolen savings, and that life insurance policy weren't mere betrayals. They were a calculated plot to poison me. With William as their unwitting pawn, I was done being the trusting mother who overlooked the warning signs. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dorothy Reynolds, and if you're following my story from Nebraska, you know I'm fighting a war sparked by tainted pills in 2023. Thanks for being here, because this is where it all comes crashing down, and you won't want to miss this showdown. I spent days after uncovering the insurance policy in a storm of determination. The evidence was overwhelming: the poisoned pills, the cafe photo, the text screenshots, the bank transfers, the insurance policy naming Marilyn and Charles as beneficiaries, the rat poison packet hidden in our kitchen. But I refused to let them destroy William or our family's legacy. Eleanor kept urging me to act, suggesting a private investigator to uncover more, but I needed to confront William myself. I wanted to see the truth in his eyes, to pull him from Marilyn's toxic influence. That's when I crafted a plan, one that would either shatter us or save our family. I decided to host a family dinner, inviting William, Marilyn, and Charles to lay their lies bare before everyone. I called William first, keeping my voice deliberately warm, saying I wanted to mend our rift after our painful argument. He was skeptical but agreed, hoping for reconciliation. Next, I contacted Marilyn, framing it as a family dinner to celebrate William's recent promotion at the bank, a fabrication designed to lure her in. Getting Charles there was trickier. I posed as a colleague from the business community, inviting him as a surprise guest to toast Marilyn's latest event planning triumph. He accepted, his voice eager, oblivious to the trap I was setting. My heart pounded as I planned, knowing this dinner would redefine our family forever. Eleanor insisted on being there, staying in the living room as backup. "You're not facing them alone," she said, and her unwavering loyalty fueled my courage to prepare. I met Eleanor at her writing studio, a sanctuary of books and quiet resolve, where I spread my evidence across her oak desk like an accountant preparing for a critical audit. The photo from the harvest moon capturing Marilyn and Charles's intimacy, the text screenshots detailing their affair, the bank statements revealing stolen funds, the insurance policy, the lab report confirming the rat poison in the pills, and footage from my kitchen camera, which had recorded Marilyn handling the sleeping pills and a suspicious powder 2 nights earlier. I organized it with meticulous precision, each piece a weapon in my arsenal. I also hired a private investigator through Eleanor's contacts, who confirmed Marilyn and Charles's affair with motel receipts, bar tabs, photos of their clandestine meetings, and a damning recorded conversation about cashing in on my death to fund their new life. The investigator's report added another layer of proof, solidifying my case against them. This wasn't just about betrayal. It was about stopping a deadly scheme before it could claim my life or tear my family apart forever. The night of the dinner, my house became a theater, every detail carefully orchestrated for maximum impact. I set the dining table with my finest china, lit candles to cast a deceptive glow, and prepared a feast of roast chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, tender green beans, and a rich pecan pie, creating an illusion of warmth and unity that belied the storm brewing. William arrived first, his smile cautious but tinged with hope for family peace. Marilyn followed, her event planner's poise polished to perfection, her confident demeanor barely masking a flicker of unease. Charles came last, his businessman swagger jarring in my cozy dining room, his presence an affront to the home I'd built. We sat, exchanging small talk about William's banking projects, Marilyn's event successes, and the vibrant Nebraska fall, but the air was thick with unspoken tension. I watched Marilyn's practiced smile, Charles's nervous glances, and William's uneasy fidgeting, my pulse racing as I waited for the perfect moment to strike. Halfway through, I raised my wine glass, my voice calm but resolute. "To family and truth," I said, locking eyes with Marilyn. "Because lies always come to light." The room fell silent, forks pausing in midair. I pulled out the cafe photo, sliding it across the table with steady hands. "Explain this," I said, my voice unwavering. William gasped, his hand trembling as he stared at Marilyn and Charles. Marilyn's face drained of color, her eyes darting to the door, while Charles shifted uncomfortably, his polished facade crumbling. I pressed on, laying out the bank statements, the insurance policy, and the lab report confirming the rat poison's presence in the pills. I played the kitchen footage, Marilyn's figure unmistakable as she tampered with the pills, her hands steady as she mixed in the powder. William's eyes filled with tears, and he turned to Marilyn, his voice breaking. "How could you do this?" Charles stood, his face flushed with panic. "I'm not part of this," he muttered, bolting for the door, his chair scraping the hardwood floor in his haste to escape. I looked at Marilyn, my voice cold as ice. "You manipulated my son to poison my pills, stole our savings, and planned to profit from my death to hide your affair." William sobbed, covering his face with his hands. His trust in his mother shattered. Marilyn lunged, shouting that I'd fabricated everything, her voice shrill with desperation. But the evidence was ironclad, and William's silence spoke volumes. "I'm done with you," I said. "I'm reporting this to the police, and you'll answer for everything." The room crackled with tension, Marilyn's panic a stark contrast to my calm. Eleanor stepped out from the living room, her presence a silent warning, her steady gaze reinforcing my resolve. I'd turned their scheme against them, and they knew it. William looked at me, his eyes shattered but awakening, and I knew I'd reached him, even if Marilyn was too entangled in Charles's web to see the truth. "Thank you for being here for this showdown. What would you have done at that dinner? Drop a comment and let me know. If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. The final part is coming, and it's going to be a wild ride." The dining room was a storm's wreckage, the silence piercing as Charles fled and William's sobs filled the air. My evidence, the cafe photo, the bank statements, the kitchen footage, lay exposed on the table. Stripping away Marilyn's affair and her plot to poison me with rat-laced sleeping pills, I'd turned their lies against them, and they were cornered. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dorothy Reynolds, and if you've followed my story from Nebraska, you've seen me confront a betrayal that tore my family apart in 2023. Thanks for being here for the final chapter, because this is where I reclaim my life and protect my son, and it's a triumph worth sharing. Marilyn's panic surged as William's tears flowed. She stood, her face flushed, pleading with him. "It's all lies," she shouted. But his anguish silenced her. She turned to me, her voice desperate. "Dottie, you've got it wrong," she said. But I cut her off. "No more lies." I said, my voice steady as steel. Eleanor stood in the living room doorway, her presence a quiet anchor. I told Marilyn to leave, and she grabbed her purse, hurling empty threats, but William's broken stare pushed her out. She fled, her heels clicking, her defeat clear. That night, my house felt lighter, like a dark veil had lifted, and I knew I'd taken a crucial step. The next morning, I sat with William in my kitchen, the same place where Marilyn had tampered with the pills. His eyes were red, but he listened as I explained everything: the rat poison, the lab report, the stolen savings, the insurance policy. "I'm so sorry, Mom," he whispered, hugging me tightly. We cried, rebuilding our bond, and he vowed to make amends. He admitted Marilyn and Charles had manipulated him, convincing him the pills would only make me sleep, not kill me, to pressure me into a nursing home. I connected him with a lawyer named Judith, a fierce advocate who reviewed my evidence: the cafe photo, the text, the bank statements, the insurance policy, the lab report, the kitchen footage, the investigator's motel receipts. "This is airtight," Judith said. "Fraud, attempted murder, conspiracy. They'll face consequences." I took the evidence to the police, my hand steady as I presented the lab report, kitchen footage, and investigators' findings. They opened an investigation, and Marilyn crumbled under questioning, admitting Charles had masterminded the plan to secure the insurance payout. Exploiting William's trust, the police charged them with attempted murder and fraud, grave crimes, and both were arrested, their reputations shattered in our small town. Charles, seeing Marilyn's downfall, fled Nebraska, leaving her alone in her ruin. The stolen savings were recovered, and the insurance policy was voided, dismantling their schemes. Their betrayal had cost them everything, from William's love to their freedom. William's pain was my deepest concern. We spent days talking, healing the wounds Marilyn left. He apologized for his role, explaining she'd preyed on his loyalty, promising financial security. "I was blind," he said, his voice steady. "We rebuilt our trust, and he became my rock. I decided to sell the house, too haunted by Marilyn's actions, and move to a smaller home nearby, closer to William. Standing on the porch as the for sale sign went up, I felt liberated, ready to leave the past behind. The recovered funds and my savings gave me a fresh start, a chance to redefine my life on my terms. In my new home, I found purpose. William introduced me to a community center, and I started a support group for women betrayed by those they loved. Sharing my story, I connected with others who'd faced their own Marilyns and Charleses, their resilience mirroring mine. I became a mentor, helping them find their strength, just as Eleanor had helped me. The group flourished, and I felt alive, turning my pain into a beacon of hope. My kitchen, once a battlefield, was again a place of connection, filled with laughter and shared stories, a testament to what we could overcome. Marilyn's betrayal was a fire that could have consumed us, but it forged us stronger. I'm Dottie, a mother who faced lies and danger to protect her son. If you're watching and feel trapped by deceit, hear this: you have the power to rise. Trust your instincts, fight for your worth, and never let anyone dim your light. William and I did. And we're free. Betrayal cuts deep, but it can also be the spark that rebuilds you, tougher than before. This journey was grueling, but it taught me that family, even when broken, can be mended with truth and love. My new life, filled with William's support and the warmth of my support group, is proof that we can rise from the ashes. I hope my story inspires you to face your own battles, to find your own strength, and to never surrender what matters most. You're more resilient than you know, and you're never alone. The road may be tough, but it leads to a place of peace and power, where you can stand tall and reclaim your life. Thank you for walking this path with me. Share your thoughts in the comments. What did this story stir in you? If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. Next week, we're diving into another tale of courage and secrets, so stay tuned. Your support means everything, and I can't wait to share more.